Hello traders and welcome back to another Sunday special. I am very excited for this week because I'm going to be introducing to you a little bit of something I've been working on the website, and we're going to be doing some fundamental and technical analysis today for our Sunday special. Now before I go too far into the video, do me a favor and make sure to leave a like down below if you enjoy these little Sunday episodes where I go through the market, and I'll continue to do them. I get up on Sunday and I'm always excited to do them and hear you guys' feedback and comments. But feel free to comment your thoughts below as I go along, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the major pairs. Things like euro dollar, pound dollar, and gold are the ones that I at least want to cover for sure today, and then maybe we'll look at some other things as I go along. Now, before we get to the technicals on Euro USD, I want to show you guys and take this chance to go over to the website. This is my website, a1trading.com. You can go to this website on your browser or on your phone or whatever, but I've got all sorts of stuff on here. There's something though in particular that I want to show you today. This is the fundamental data tab right here. So if I go to trade ideas, fundamental data, of course we have retail sentiment, COT reports, market analysis, all of this is available for free. But if I go to the fundamental data on the website, check this out. I put together a bunch of free stuff for you guys in terms of economic data that you can use if you're interested in fundamental analysis. Now, this is stuff that I've used behind the scenes, but I figured, okay, let me just make a website page for anybody else who wants to kind of look at this stuff. So I mentioned that we're going to be taking a look at the Euro USD first. Why don't we start by looking real quick at the economic data that we have on the euro. So if we go to the euro here and we look at kind of the COT reports, the COT reports are basically, if you're not super familiar with them, I have videos on them, but generally speaking, they tell us what big traders or big institutions, what their positions are currently overall in the US. Now, this is something that is required in the US, the futures market required to release this sort of information when you're a really big player, and it gives us little guys a little chance to see what the bigger players are doing. Now, this is not real time. This is it's a lagging indicator for sure, because you can see the most recent data is February 15th, which is at this point 6 days ago, but it still gives us some information. I'm going to really quick look at the non-commercials. These are your big, trading, hedge funds and institutions and leverage funds and that sort of stuff. Now we can see that the Euro USD, well, we're looking specifically at the euro. You can see it's kind of been on a little bit of a sell-off trend here since about December and this year, but we've really just kind of maintained going flat. But there's not like a strong buy or sell signal from this one alone. But if we just go really quick back to the US dollar, however, and we scroll down here a little bit, you can kind of see that the non-commercials on the US dollar have been pretty short. This right here is just one component to why I have a bullish bias on the Euro USD. If we remember, if the euro is kind of flat, however, the US dollar is kind of down, what does that mean? That means that the euro is favored slightly by institutions here over the US dollar, which only makes sense when we go back to the technical chart and you can see the euro dollar has been making its move up. One more example of how we can use this is, check this out. If we go down to inflation, right? I'm not going to go super in depth with this, but hopefully you guys, if you know anything about inflation, you understand that, more inflation for a currency causes it to go down, right? A weaker currency. When we're looking at the euro, check this out. We can look at the US dollar. It's kind of at around that 1.3 to 1.4. 2 is considered optimal, right? You can read about this if you want when you're on the website. But you can see that the euro has had it's had deflation for a while and now starting to get positive. But the overall idea is that, okay, the US dollar has more inflation going on, which makes sense to cause the US dollar to go down, whereas deflation causes the currency to become more expensive. And this is not necessarily entirely good for the euro, right? Because the ECB may want to, or I think they've expressed that they want to decrease the currency because it is better for their trade situation. Okay, this is a very quick glimpse at fundamentals. If you want more fundamentals, let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to discuss more of that in my channel. But that is just a general idea. I wanted to show you guys that before we get too far into the technicals, because if you want to get this, again, all you do is you come to the website, Trade Ideas, ideas, fundamental data, and you can just go through this yourself. So check that out anytime you'd like. So now that we've got the fundamental story, that is why basically I am still looking for bullish opportunities on the euro. So now we've combined the fundamentals with the technicals, and now we can say, okay, well, now that we have an idea of bullishness, or at least I do based on my analysis, where can I look to get long? And recently, from a technical standpoint, we've been covered on this. We've kept a real close eye on the technical side, if you've been watching my channel, on Euro USD. Looking for pullbacks and opportunities to get long. I really want to be long down here, but if I don't get that opportunity, I may still look for opportunities to go long elsewhere. Here on the daily chart, you can see we're in a strong uptrend. If we drop it down to the 4-hour chart really quick, on the 4-hour chart, we seem to be having a little bit of a hard time getting past this area here. And if we break that decisively this week, there may be an opportunity to look to go long on a retest, something like this. If we bust through this level, right, this resistance point, if we can break through that, maybe a pullback here could be in play, right? We don't know how far it could push past, but if it were to do something like this and line up similar with that trend line, that could be good for a potential stop placement, right? So what I mean by that is, okay, we don't know if this breaks out. That's the first part. Looking for some sort of sign of a break, giving us kind of that confirmation that bulls are still in play. Then looking for a pullback. We don't know. It could pull back all the way over here. It could pull back right here, right? It could be a sharp pullback. We don't know that. The idea, though, is generally I'd be looking for the tap back to this previously broken resistance to try and get long and go for trend continuation. That is my favorite style of trading, is looking for basically the trend to continue and looking for places to try and hop in that give me the best potential reward relative to the smallest risk. So that's what I'll be looking for, Euro USD. If you're not already tuning into my streams, we do them at 9 a.m. US Eastern. You can tune into the live streams, and basically I talk about trades that I am in, or I look at ideas or setups. So if you would like to get that, what you can do is, if you go, obviously if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, but also if you click the notification bell next to the subscribe button, then you will be able to be notified whenever I go live. So that's a good way to also not miss the streams. Anyways, so that's what I'm thinking so far, is looking for this sort of range that we've been in to break to the upside would be a bullish sentiment. Another scenario that I kind of like, honestly, is if price decides to pull back to this point here, I still might be looking to get long, because there you still have a decent risk reward, right? If I were to get in here off of the retest of this low, if it happens, we don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't know with certainty about anything in markets. That's not how markets work. Otherwise, we'd all be bazillionaires, right? But the idea is that if we see this scenario, if we see this level hold, which it could, then I'd be interested in looking here, or if we get the breakout, I'd be looking for the retest. But then you might say, well, Nick, if you want to buy it either ways, why not just buy it now and it doesn't matter? The reason is because entering in this scenario or in this scenario gives me a much tighter stop loss, so my reward is much better relative to the risk that I take. If I just enter in the middle of the range here, right, my stop loss would be all the way here. But if I enter here, my stop loss distance is much shorter. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's why I'm looking at either scenario for a bullish potential setup, but I want to get in at a level that makes the most sense. Okay, so let's move on to another one. That's my big ideas with Euro USD this week. Let's see if we can take a look at the pound today. And we talked about the pound a bunch last week on the live streams. If you were with me in the live streams, then shout out to you guys for being there. I appreciate you showing up and hanging out. But we talked about the fact that, the pound has been kind of a tough pair for me to watch, or I guess the currency, the pound, has been hard, because a lot across the board we've seen all the different currency crosses with the pound just be shooting up. And I've really wanted to be long on the pound, but I haven't really had a great opportunity to enter. Of course, in hindsight, I could say, oh, I should have entered right here, and I should have done this, and I shoulda, coulda, woulda, but that doesn't get you anywhere in trading. The only stuff that gets you anywhere in trading is adapting and being ready for the future, and not playing the hindsight game, right? So for me, I'm still watching this pair. If it decides to, it might have a bearish week this week. I'm not saying it is, but if it does have a bearish week, I'd be very happy with that because that might give me a chance to finally get involved on a pullback. This channel here has been a very, very good buying opportunity for so long. Imagine, I mentioned this on stream, imagine if you just had been buying every pullback here. Unfortunately, I didn't. In hindsight, again, I wish I did. But so many bullish trades that worked out great. And this, again, if we look at the fundamentals for a moment, it lines up. I think this is still hooked to the wrong one. I hooked this to bar charts instead of the other website that I like. But either ways, we can still look at the idea. So you can see that the pound, they're large speculators in green, and the small speculators both kind of moving higher, right? They're buying into this uptrend. You might say, well, why are they buying? Isn't that stupid to be buying when it's already high? And that's not how a lot of how professional traders think. They think, okay, well, is the trend making sense with the fundamentals? Well, let's go look at some of the fundamentals. We can see that if we go down to inflation again, inflation is less in the pound than it is the dollar, which causes the dollar to go down, pound to go up, right? Makes sense. So, the UK unemployment, this, I guess, technically is kind of a mixed sentiment. But the big thing here is that when we look at the fundamental story, we have inflation rates at a certain point where, okay, it makes more sense for people to be buying the pound over the dollar because the dollar is weakening. Also, we have interest rates, basically the Fed coming out and saying, we're not going to raise interest rates anytime soon. That's at least the quota right now. Right, and interest rates attract investors into a bank, right? If Bank A and Bank B both offer interest rates, think of you. Let's say you have $100,000 that you want to put in either Bank A or Bank B. You might say, well, I'd rather just trade it. Well, me too. But if we had to put it in one bank or another, and this bank pays 3% and this bank pays 1% per year, which one are you going to passively leave your money in? Probably this one, right? Unless you just don't like money. But if you're, this is the real world, right? Different banks offer different interest rates. And generally speaking, the one with the higher interest attracts investors. And when the US says, hey, we're not going to raise interest rates anytime soon, that's not on our plan, then people are like, well, I don't want to put my money in the US dollar. It's probably not going to have any higher interest rates anytime soon, right? So just as an example quickly, again, I'm brushing through the fundamentals because I don't want to make this video too long, but I plan on talking more about them in my live streams. And if you're not already in the live streams, again, like I said, subscribe and click the notification bell and you'll be able to join us. Okay, so that brings me back to the longer term chart here on pound dollar. I'm looking for a pullback if I can this week to look to try and get long, maybe at the bottom of this range, or if we come into play with this area here, right? Something like that could be an area to look to get long. The reason that I'm not so strictly like, oh, I will buy here is because I have to see how price reacts. If we just drop like a rock and something catastrophic is happening in the news, I might be a little bit more reluctant to just buy into a dropping, crazy move. However, if we see some kind of healthy pullback going on and we get some sort of price confirmation and the fundamentals still line up to be bullish, then I would be very interested in looking for long setups. If you are not already a part of our premium community on Discord, I share all of my trades in detail when I actually enter the trade with my entries, my stops, my targets, all of that sort of thing inside of the premium group. And if you're not there, you can find information down below in the description. There's a promo code for those of you guys who support me here on YouTube. You get like $5 off or something. And we share trade alerts. We also have chat rooms and we do some live webinar coaching, all sorts of good stuff. If any of that sounds helpful to you, if you're out there and you're struggling and you're looking for a community of traders to actually work with that is not just a spammy chat room of nonsense, that's why it has a price tag on it, is because we're keeping out the spam. we're moderating, and the money goes towards paying my staff, who, we have a moderation team, and a lot of work goes into trying to create a really good community for traders. So if that sounds interesting to you, like I said, link down below in the description. Okay, anyways, that's what basically all I'm seeing on the pound dollar. I know people are going to be looking at this week as well, and so I just wanted to cover it here. But let's take a look as well at gold. And if you guys were on my live stream, I talked about a gold trade that I am still in. I took a short trade here on gold, and let me see. Can I pull that up on my... I'll see if I can pull this up really quick for you guys. Oh, this is going to be embarrassing how many messages I have on my Discord. But, okay, so I ended up taking a sell trade. I shared it with members here. That's the New Zealand yen trade I took. But then on the gold trade I took, I basically sold at resistance, looking for price to continue to roll over, put stops initially above that area. Fortunately, it held, and overall we rolled over, and now stops are locked in to profit there. Now, since then, we've got a little bit of a bounce back. So I'm watching to see, going into this week, if this trade is going to close out for a profit there. If it pops back up, I'll just trail my stop and take profit there. But if it rolls over, then great. So that's kind of where I'm at with gold right now. I'm in profit and holding on to a position. Again, this is also just kind of an inside look at a trade alert that I shared inside of the group. But the overall idea there with gold is that we broke the daily chart, the 200-day moving average. And after we broke that, we retested it right around here. That's about where I got short. The idea here is that I was thinking from the bullish perspective that buyers would be able to hold this 200-day as they had so many times before. When that did not work out, that's where I basically switched to, okay, well, gold seems like for the time being it's in sell city, if you will. More bearish pressure than bullish, right? When we were over here, I was doing nothing but looking for long setups. And now that we've kind of switched directions and we've really become pretty bearish on those higher time frames, I've been looking for sell setups more recently. Ended up taking that trade on the 4-hour chart right there at resistance, and so far looking decent. If it pops past this level, I will probably just stop out for a profit there. I think it's like a 1.5 R, meaning 1.5 times my initial risk, which is not so bad. And so that's kind of what I'm watching for this week on gold. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think one thing to mention also is on the daily chart, we are at a pretty significant level of support. And the reason that this matters is because if this level holds, then, we could be headed back to the top of this channel. But more interestingly to me is that if this level breaks, check this out. If gold breaks I think it's like the 1770, 1770 level, if it really breaks through this and we get a nice close to the downside, check out this. Gold has got a ways to go before we come into contact with major support again, right? I guess you could argue that maybe right around here we've got some support, but that's a move down to 1725 even. And if that breaks, you're talking about a move all the way down to, it's kind of hard to even tell, all the way down here, really, 1660, right? So, and those, if you're a longer term bull, I would be looking for value, and I will be looking for value buys on my investments down in the 1600s if it gets down there, right? I own gold long term as kind of an investment, as part of my portfolio. I've got a little bit of gold, a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of different things, right? A little amount in a lot of places, as they say. But again, if we get the break, gold could be on for a run down that, again, from a structure standpoint, looks pretty healthy to the downside right now. That break beneath the 200 was pretty significant. So I am currently, as much as I don't like saying it from my investment side, I am bearish on gold for the time being, and looking for trading opportunities there. Although I do have a trade here, if it breaks up and I get stopped out, then I will just probably be looking for more bearish opportunities going into this week. Unless of course my current trade rolls over and becomes a bigger profit, then I will continue to run with that and share any updates that I make with members. So that's what I've got on gold, keeping an eye on some of these bigger, longer term areas of value if price breaks lower. And yeah. So that's pretty much it. Again, guys, like I said, make sure to check out this new fundamental data page on the website and join our newsletter. Also, we're going to be doing more fundamental ideas and more stuff coming to you guys for free as our team kind of slowly expands and we get more help behind the scenes. We have Frank and Bart who are writing content for us and all sorts of good stuff. So if you want free stuff, again, head over to the website. We got lots of more free stuff coming. Thank you guys very much for being here. Like I said, if you want to join in the premium community, and if you want to get in on our Discord, there's a link down below in the description and a promo code for you, especially if you made it to the end of the video. You'll get like $5 off for joining our community. So thank you guys so much for joining into another another video here where we take a look at the markets together. I do hope to see you in our live streams this week, and we'll see you back in the next video. See you later.